The morning mist clung to the rolling hills of Montana like a shroud, and 16-year-old Elena Vasquez could barely see 20 yards ahead as she crept through the tall grass. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "Patience, mija. The shot you don't take is often more important than the one you do." She pressed her cheek against the cool metal of the rifle stock, feeling the familiar weight that had become as natural as breathing over the past 6 years. Miguel Vasquez had been teaching his daughter to shoot since she was 10, starting with a .22 caliber rifle that seemed enormous in her small hands. Now, at 16, Elena could thread a needle at 300 yards with her father's custom-built rifle. What had started as weekend bonding sessions had evolved into something far more serious when Miguel realized his daughter possessed a natural talent that surpassed even his own considerable skills. Elena's father was a legend in certain circles. During his 20 years as a Marine Corps sniper, Miguel had served 3 tours in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan, accumulating a record that earned him respect from peers and enemies alike. His confirmed kill count remained classified, but fellow Marines spoke in hushed tones about shots that defied physics and missions that seemed impossible until Miguel accepted them. After retiring from the Marines, Miguel had struggled to find his place in civilian life. The transition from the precision and purpose of military service to the mundane routine of small-town Montana had left him restless and drinking too much. It was Elena's birth that had given him new direction. When his wife Maria died in a car accident when Elena was 8, Miguel had channeled all his protective instincts into preparing his daughter for a world that he knew could be dangerous and unforgiving. The rifle in Elena's hands was Miguel's masterpiece, a custom-built precision instrument that had taken him 3 years to perfect. The barrel was hand-lapped to mirror smoothness. The trigger adjusted to break at exactly 2 pounds of pressure. The scope was military-grade, capable of accurate ranging out to 1,200 yards. Miguel had taught Elena to maintain the rifle herself, to understand every component, and how weather, elevation, and dozens of other factors affected each shot. Elena shifted slightly, adjusting her position behind a fallen log that provided perfect concealment. Through her scope, she could see the old barn that served as their target range, specifically the playing card tacked to a post at 400 yards. Today's challenge was to put 5 shots through the ace of spades without touching the edges. Miguel sat in his truck nearby, watching through binoculars and timing her shots. Speed mattered as much as accuracy in his training philosophy. The first shot broke clean, the rifle's recoil absorbed smoothly by Elena's practiced stance. Through the scope, she could see the bullet hole appear dead center in the ace. Miguel had taught her to follow through completely on every shot, maintaining her sight picture until she could confirm impact. The second shot grouped within a quarter-inch of the first, then the third and fourth. The fifth shot came after a longer pause as Elena waited for the wind to settle, then squeezed the trigger with the same deliberate control she'd practiced thousands of times. Miguel drove over after the shooting stopped, and they walked together to examine the target. All 5 shots had struck within a 2-inch circle, completely destroying the ace of spades. "Getting better," Miguel said with characteristic understatement, though Elena caught the pride in his voice. "Wind was tricky today." "You read it well." Elena's shooting ability was just one aspect of the comprehensive training Miguel provided. He had taught her fieldcraft, camouflage, observation techniques, and basic tactics. More importantly, he had instilled in her the mental discipline that separated true marksmen from mere target shooters. Elena learned to control her breathing, slow her heart rate, and enter the meditative state that allowed for impossible accuracy under pressure. Their training sessions took place year-round, in all weather conditions. Miguel believed that fair-weather shooters were worthless when conditions turned harsh. Elena had fired accurate shots while lying in snowdrifts, during thunderstorms, and in the brutal heat of Montana summers. She had learned to compensate for temperature extremes, humidity changes, and altitude variations that affected bullet trajectory in subtle but crucial ways. Beyond marksmanship, Miguel had shared stories from his military service, though he carefully edited out the most traumatic details. Elena learned about battlefield tactics, the importance of reconnaissance, and how to think like both predator and prey. Miguel taught her to notice details that others missed, to trust her instincts, and to make quick decisions under pressure. Elena's exceptional abilities remained largely hidden from her classmates at the small rural high school she attended. To them, she was simply the quiet girl whose father had been in the military. She maintained good grades, participated in track and field, and had a small circle of close friends who knew nothing about her weekend activities with Miguel. Elena understood instinctively that her skills made her different, and she learned to navigate the social dynamics of teenage life while keeping her other world completely separate. The relationship between Elena and Miguel was built on mutual respect and shared passion for precision. Miguel had never pushed his daughter into shooting. Her interest had developed naturally from their early hunting trips together. He recognized that Elena possessed not just natural talent, but the temperament necessary for long-range precision shooting. She was patient, methodical, and unshakable under pressure. Miguel's training methods were unconventional by civilian standards but grounded in hard-won battlefield experience. He taught Elena to think like a sniper, to plan every shot with consideration for escape routes, concealment, and multiple contingencies. Even their target practice included elements of tactical thinking that most recreational shooters never considered. As Elena's skills developed, Miguel began incorporating more advanced scenarios into their training. She learned to engage multiple targets in sequence, to shoot from improvised positions, and to make accurate shots while under time pressure. Miguel created elaborate training courses that combined marksmanship with problem-solving, forcing Elena to adapt her techniques to unexpected challenges. The bond between father and daughter was strengthened by their shared pursuit of perfection. Miguel had found in Elena not just a daughter, but a worthy successor to carry on the traditions and skills he had spent his life developing. Elena, for her part, treasured the time spent with her father and took pride in meeting his exacting standards. Miguel's reputation in the local area was that of a reclusive veteran who kept to himself and his daughter. Most people respected his service record and left him alone, which suited Miguel perfectly. He had no interest in civilian politics or social obligations. His focus remained entirely on Elena's development and on maintaining their isolated ranch where they could train without interference or unwanted attention. Elena's shooting skills extended beyond long-range precision work. Miguel had taught her to handle various firearms, from pistols to shotguns. Though rifle marksmanship remained her specialty, she learned the strengths and limitations of different weapon systems, proper maintenance procedures, and safety protocols that had become second nature. The isolation of their Montana ranch provided the perfect training environment. Miguel had constructed multiple ranges at different distances, with varying terrain that challenged Elena's adaptability. He had built shooting platforms at different elevations, forcing her to master the complexities of uphill and downhill shooting that confused many experienced marksmen. Miguel's teaching philosophy emphasized understanding over mere repetition. Elena learned the physics behind ballistics, the effects of environmental conditions on bullet flight, and the psychological factors that influenced shooting performance. This comprehensive education made her not just an accurate shooter, but a complete marksman who could adapt to any situation. As Elena's junior year of high school progressed, Miguel began to consider her future. Her shooting abilities were already at a level that surpassed most military marksmen, but he wondered whether she would choose to follow in his footsteps or pursue a different path. Elena seemed content with their current routine, but Miguel knew that exceptional talents like hers were rare and should not be wasted. The quiet life they had built in Montana seemed permanent and secure, but Miguel's military experience had taught him that circumstances could change without warning. He had prepared Elena not just as a marksman, but as someone capable of handling whatever challenges life might present. That preparation would soon prove more valuable than either of them could have imagined. Elena's final shots of the day were fired just as the sun began to set behind the mountains. The golden light streaming across the range created challenging shadows and shifting wind patterns that tested every aspect of her training. She adjusted her scope for the changing conditions and fired 3 quick shots at a target 600 yards away. All 3 shots struck within the 10 ring, a grouping that would have impressed Olympic competitors. Miguel watched his daughter clean her rifle with the methodical care he had instilled in her from the beginning. Every component was inspected, cleaned, and properly stored. The ritual of weapon maintenance was as important as the shooting itself in Miguel's philosophy. A marksman who neglected equipment maintenance was unreliable and dangerous. As they drove home in Miguel's pickup truck, Elena reflected on another successful training session. She felt the deep satisfaction that came from perfect performance under challenging conditions. The partnership between her and Miguel had evolved into something beyond typical father-daughter relationships. They were two professionals who happened to be family, bound together by shared expertise and mutual respect. The ranch house where Elena and Miguel lived was modest, but perfectly suited to their needs. Miguel had modified it extensively over the years, adding a workshop where he could craft custom ammunition and maintain their growing collection of firearms. Elena's room was decorated like any teenage girl's, but her bookshelf contained technical manuals on ballistics and tactics, alongside typical young adult novels. Dinner conversations between Elena and Miguel often centered on technical discussions that would have bewildered outsiders. They debated the merits of different bullet designs, analyzed shooting scenarios from Miguel's military experience, and planned modifications to their training regimen. Elena contributed to these discussions as an equal partner, her insights often surprising Miguel with their sophistication. Miguel had always been honest with Elena about the potential applications of her skills. While their training was presented as sport and bonding activity, Miguel made sure Elena understood that marksmanship was ultimately about the ability to protect oneself and others when necessary. He hoped she would never need to use her skills in life or death situations, but his military experience had taught him to prepare for all possibilities. Elena's academic performance remained strong despite the time devoted to shooting training. Her teachers considered her a model student, disciplined and focused in ways that set her apart from many of her peers. What they didn't realize was that the mental discipline required for precision shooting translated directly into academic excellence. The small community where Elena and Miguel lived was typical of rural Montana. Independent-minded people who valued self-reliance and respected others' privacy. Miguel's military service earned him automatic respect, and Elena was known as a polite, responsible young woman who helped her father manage their ranch. Their true capabilities remained hidden behind this mundane facade. Miguel's network of military contacts occasionally visited the ranch, fellow veterans who understood the value of maintaining their skills in civilian life. These visits provided Elena with exposure to different perspectives on marksmanship and tactics, broadening her education beyond what Miguel alone could provide. She impressed these seasoned warriors with her abilities, earning their respect despite her youth. As winter approached, Miguel began planning cold-weather training scenarios that would challenge Elena's abilities under the most difficult conditions Montana could provide. Shooting accurately in sub-zero temperatures required specialized techniques and mental toughness that separated true marksmen from fair-weather shooters. Elena looked forward to these challenges, knowing that each successful session added to her comprehensive skill set. The relationship between Elena and Miguel was built on trust that had been earned through years of shared challenges. Miguel trusted Elena's judgment and abilities completely, while Elena knew that her father's guidance was based on hard-won experience and genuine concern for her development. This mutual trust would prove crucial in the trials that lay ahead. The phone call that changed everything came on a Tuesday morning in late October. Elena was reviewing calculus homework when she heard her father's voice turn sharp and focused in the kitchen. Miguel's conversation was brief, consisting mostly of yes and understood responses that told Elena he was speaking with someone from his past military life. When Miguel returned to the living room, his expression was grim in a way Elena had rarely seen. He sat across from her at the kitchen table and spoke with the directness she had come to expect when serious matters arose. "Elena, I need to tell you something important. There's a situation developing that might affect us directly." Elena closed her textbook and gave her father her complete attention. Miguel had taught her to recognize when circumstances required immediate focus, and his tone indicated this was one of those moments. She waited silently for him to continue, knowing that pressing for details before he was ready to provide them would be counterproductive. Miguel chose his words carefully, drawing on years of operational security training that had become instinctive. "Some people I served with have been targeted by a criminal organization. These criminals have been kidnapping former military personnel and their families to force cooperation in illegal activities. The FBI believes our location may have been compromised." The implications hit Elena immediately. Their isolated ranch, which had always felt like a fortress of privacy and security, might now be a liability. Miguel continued his explanation, providing details that painted a picture far more complex and dangerous than Elena had initially realized. The criminal organization was sophisticated and well-funded, with connections to international trafficking networks that made billions from drugs, weapons, and human smuggling. They had identified former military snipers as valuable assets and had begun systematically targeting them through kidnapping operations designed to force compliance. Several of Miguel's former unit members had already disappeared along with their families. Federal investigators had traced communication intercepts that included references to Miguel's location and background. The organization appeared to have conducted extensive research on potential targets, gathering personal information that included family members, daily routines, and security vulnerabilities. Elena's existence was known to them, making her a potential leverage point against Miguel. Miguel's old unit commander had contacted him through secure channels to warn about the threat and coordinate protective measures. The FBI was working with military authorities to provide security for targeted families, but the criminals had demonstrated sophisticated surveillance capabilities and violent tactics when their objectives were resisted. Elena listened to her father's explanation with growing understanding of how dramatically their lives were about to change. The comfortable routine of school, training, and quiet ranch life would be replaced by constant vigilance and the real possibility of armed confrontation. Miguel was giving her the option to relocate to a safe house under federal protection while he dealt with the threat directly. "I won't abandon you," Elena said firmly when Miguel finished outlining their options. "We've trained for situations like this, even if we hoped they would never arise. I'm not going to hide in some government facility while you face this alone." Miguel had expected this response but felt obligated to offer Elena the choice. He knew she possessed the skills and temperament necessary to contribute meaningfully to their security, but he also understood that accepting her partnership would expose her to dangers that most parents would find unacceptable. His military experience told him that Elena was an asset, while his paternal instincts demanded her protection. They spent the remainder of the morning reviewing their defensive preparations and identifying vulnerabilities that needed immediate attention. Miguel's ranch had been designed with security in mind, but defending against professional criminals would require modifications to their existing arrangements. Elena contributed observations that demonstrated her tactical understanding had progressed beyond basic marksmanship. The ranch house sat on elevated ground with clear fields of fire in all directions, a positioning choice that Miguel had made deliberately when purchasing the property. The nearest cover that could conceal approaching vehicles was over 800 yards away, well within Elena's engagement range. Multiple escape routes led through terrain that favored defenders familiar with the area. Miguel and Elena began implementing enhanced security measures that drew on both his military experience and their detailed knowledge of the local environment. Motion sensors were positioned along likely approach routes, while concealed observation points were prepared at strategic locations around the property. They rehearsed response procedures for various attack scenarios, with Elena demonstrating mastery of tactics that complemented her marksmanship abilities. Elena's school attendance became irregular as Miguel prioritized security over maintaining normal routines. He contacted the school administrators with a carefully constructed explanation about family circumstances requiring temporary schedule adjustments. Elena's strong academic record and reputation for responsibility ensured that these arrangements were accepted without excessive questioning. The first indication that they were under surveillance came 3 days after Miguel's warning call. Elena spotted reflection glints from a distant hillside that suggested optical equipment positioned for observation of their property. Miguel confirmed her observation through his own reconnaissance and identified at least 2 positions that showed signs of professional surveillance activity. Rather than immediately confronting the watchers, Miguel decided to gather intelligence about their numbers, equipment, and patterns of activity. Elena's role in this reconnaissance phase demonstrated how completely her training had prepared her for real-world applications of her skills. She could remain motionless for hours while observing targets, recording details that would help them understand the threat they faced. Miguel's contact with federal authorities provided some additional information about the criminal organization, though much remained classified. The group operated internationally with cells in multiple countries, using kidnapped military personnel to train their operatives and conduct high-value operations. Their success rate was disturbingly high, partly due to their willingness to harm family members to ensure cooperation. Elena's marksmanship training took on new urgency as they prepared for potential combat scenarios. Miguel modified their practice routines to emphasize rapid target acquisition, shooting from concealment, and engaging multiple threats in sequence. Elena adapted to these enhanced requirements with characteristic determination, understanding that her father's survival might depend on her performance under extreme pressure. The criminals' surveillance patterns suggested they were gathering detailed intelligence before attempting any direct action. Miguel interpreted this caution as evidence of their professionalism, but also as an opportunity to influence their planning through carefully orchestrated deception. Elena proved remarkably adept at creating false routines that would mislead observers about their true defensive capabilities. Miguel established communication protocols with his former unit members who remained free, creating a network that could provide mutual support if the criminal organization escalated their operations. Several of these veterans possessed skills that complemented Miguel's sniper background, offering expertise in demolitions, communications, and close-quarters combat. Elena's emotional response to the developing crisis impressed Miguel with its maturity and focus. Rather than being overwhelmed by fear or uncertainty, she approached their predicament as a complex problem requiring systematic solutions. Her questions about their situation demonstrated tactical thinking that would have been remarkable in an experienced soldier, much less a 17-year-old student. The isolation that had always characterized Elena and Miguel's relationship now became a significant advantage. Their lack of close ties to the local community meant fewer potential hostages or leverage points for the criminals to exploit. Elena's school friends knew her as a somewhat reserved ranch girl whose father was a veteran, but they had no insight into her actual capabilities or the danger surrounding her family. Miguel began teaching Elena advanced techniques that went beyond marksmanship into the realm of special operations. She learned about demolitions, communication interception, and psychological warfare tactics that could multiply the effectiveness of a small defensive force. Elena absorbed these lessons with the same intensity she had always applied to shooting training. The waiting period stretched into its second week, with surveillance continuing, but no direct contact attempted. Miguel used this time to study the observers' patterns and identify their command structure and communication methods. Elena contributed to this intelligence gathering by maintaining surveillance logs that tracked personnel rotations and equipment changes with scientific precision. Elena's academic work suffered during this period, though her teachers attributed her distraction to typical senior year stress about college applications and future plans. Elena found it darkly amusing that her actual concerns were far more immediate and dangerous than anything her classmates faced, yet she was required to maintain the facade of normal teenage problems. Miguel's military contacts provided updates about similar situations affecting other targeted families. Several confrontations had already occurred, with mixed results that demonstrated both the criminals' capabilities and their vulnerability to prepared defenders. Elena studied these after-action reports with the same analytical approach she applied to ballistics calculations. The ranch's defensive preparations were completed with characteristic thoroughness, transforming their property into a fortress that could be defended by two people against significantly larger attacking forces. Elena's shooting positions were prepared with multiple angles of fire and concealed escape routes that would allow her to relocate under cover if necessary. Miguel's respect for Elena's capabilities had evolved throughout the crisis, preparation from parental pride to professional acknowledgement. Her contributions to their defensive planning were substantive rather than symbolic, and her marksmanship skills had reached a level that made her one of the most dangerous individuals in the state under appropriate circumstances. The psychological preparation required for potential combat was addressed through discussions that drew on Miguel's combat experience while acknowledging Elena's unique circumstances. Miguel had killed enemy soldiers in warfare, but Elena would potentially be engaging criminals in defense of her home and family. The moral clarity of this distinction helped Elena process the implications of what might be required. Elena's social life effectively ceased as security requirements took precedence over normal teenage activities. Her friends noticed her absence from school events and social gatherings, but Elena's reputation as a responsible daughter, caring for her veteran father, provided adequate explanation for most observers. The few who pressed for details received polite deflections that discouraged further inquiry. Miguel began receiving intelligence updates that indicated the criminal organization was expanding their operations and accelerating their timeline for action against targeted families. This urgency suggested that their surveillance phase was concluding and direct action was imminent. Elena received this information with calm acceptance that reinforced Miguel's confidence in her readiness for whatever was coming. The father-daughter partnership that had been forged through years of training was about to face its ultimate test. Miguel knew that Elena possessed the technical skills necessary for their defense, but combat would require psychological resilience that could only be proven under fire. Elena's determination to stand with her father, rather than seek safety and protective custody, had settled the question of whether she would face that test. Their quiet ranch in Montana was about to become a battlefield where survival would depend on the skills Miguel had spent 6 years teaching his daughter. The criminal organization that sought to exploit Miguel's capabilities was about to discover that they had seriously underestimated the opposition they would face from a veteran sniper and his exceptionally trained daughter. The attack came at dawn on a Friday morning, exactly 3 weeks after Miguel's warning call. Elena was in her concealed observation post 200 yards from the ranch house when she spotted the first vehicle approaching through the early morning mist. Her heart rate remained steady as she watched 3 black SUVs moving in tactical formation along the access road, their occupants clearly professional in their approach. Elena's radio crackled softly with Miguel's voice, providing confirmation of additional vehicles approaching from the opposite direction. The criminals had planned a coordinated assault using at least 12 operatives, a force that would have overwhelmed most civilian targets. They had not anticipated facing 2 marksmen with intimate knowledge of the terrain and 6 years of preparation for exactly this scenario. The lead vehicle stopped approximately 600 yards from the ranch house, well beyond the range where most civilian defenders could effectively engage them. Elena watched through her scope as armed men deployed from the vehicles, their movements suggesting military training and combat experience. They carried assault rifles and wore tactical gear that indicated serious preparation for armed resistance. Miguel's tactical plan called for Elena to engage targets at maximum range while he provided close defense of the ranch house. This division of labor played to their respective strengths and created overlapping fields of fire that would complicate any assault. Elena's position was concealed in a natural depression that provided both cover and an excellent view of the primary approach routes. Elena's first target was a man who appeared to be directing the deployment of the assault team. Through her scope, she could see him pointing toward various positions while speaking into a radio headset. Miguel had taught her that eliminating command and control personnel first would disrupt enemy coordination and create confusion among the remaining attackers. The shot was taken at 547 yards in a slight crosswind that Elena compensated for automatically. Her bullet struck the target center mass, dropping him instantly and sending the other operatives scrambling for cover. The suppressor Miguel had installed on Elena's rifle muffled the sound signature, making it difficult for the attackers to immediately locate her position. Elena's training took over completely as she transitioned to her next target. A man with a radio was attempting to coordinate from behind one of the vehicles, unaware that his position was clearly visible from Elena's elevated shooting platform. Her second shot was fired 8 seconds after the first, striking with the same devastating accuracy that had characterized 6 years of training. The surviving attackers began returning fire toward the ranch house, apparently believing that Miguel was responsible for both shots. This tactical error gave Elena additional time to select targets, while the criminals focused their attention in the wrong direction. Miguel's defensive positions around the ranch house were designed to encourage exactly this type of misdirection. Elena's scope revealed that the assault team was equipped with military-grade weapons and communication equipment, confirming intelligence estimates about the criminal organization's sophistication. She methodically engaged targets that presented clear shots, prioritizing threats to Miguel's position and individuals who seemed to be taking leadership roles among the attackers. Miguel's radio updates kept Elena informed about the tactical situation while she continued her systematic engagement of targets. The criminals had realized they were facing sniper fire from an unexpected direction and were attempting to locate Elena's position through coordinated movement and suppressive fire. Their efforts were hampered by terrain that provided numerous potential hiding places. Elena's fourth shot was taken at a running target, attempting to flank Miguel's position. The moving target required additional lead calculation, but Elena's training had included extensive practice on dynamic scenarios. Her bullet connected despite the increased difficulty, demonstrating the comprehensive nature of Miguel's instruction over the years. The sound of approaching helicopters added a new dimension to the tactical situation. Elena initially feared that the criminals had air support, but Miguel's radio traffic indicated that federal authorities were responding to reports of gunfire in their area. The cavalry was coming, but Elena and Miguel needed to survive long enough for help to arrive. Elena's ammunition supply was carefully managed according to pre-planned guidelines. Miguel had taught her to make every shot count while maintaining sufficient reserves for extended engagement. She had fired 4 rounds with 4 hits, efficiency that would have been remarkable in any military context, and was extraordinary under the stress of actual combat. The remaining attackers attempted to suppress Elena's position with concentrated automatic weapons fire, filling the air around her concealment with bullets that struck rocks and trees. Elena remained calm under this barrage, recognizing that her position was well chosen and that panicked suppressive fire rarely achieved effective results. Miguel had prepared her psychologically for the terrifying experience of being under fire. Elena's 5th shot targeted an individual who was attempting to use a rocket-propelled grenade against Miguel's fortified position. The threat posed by this weapon required immediate neutralization, and Elena's bullet struck the operator just as he was preparing to fire. The explosion of the dropped weapon among the attackers created additional casualties and further disrupted their coordination. Miguel's voice over the radio confirmed that federal agents were establishing a perimeter around their property and demanding surrender from the surviving criminals. Elena maintained her position and continued to observe potential targets, ready to engage if the attackers attempted to escape or harm law enforcement personnel. Her role as a sniper required patience even when the immediate threat appeared to be diminishing. The psychological impact of Elena's accurate fire was becoming evident among the surviving attackers. Their casualties were mounting, while their target remained invisible and seemingly invulnerable to their return fire. Several operatives were attempting to withdraw toward their vehicles, abandoning the assault in favor of escape. Elena's training had included instruction on the legal and ethical implications of defensive shooting. Miguel had been careful to ensure she understood when the use of lethal force was justified and when it should be discontinued. As federal authorities took control of the situation, Elena shifted from active engagement to overwatch, prepared to resume firing only if the criminals posed continued threats. The sound of approaching federal vehicles was audible now, and Elena could see additional law enforcement personnel taking positions around the perimeter of their property. The criminals found themselves trapped between Elena's continued observation from elevation and the growing law enforcement presence. Several threw down their weapons and attempted to surrender. Elena's count of confirmed hits stood at 7 targets, engaged with 7 successful neutralizations. This perfect accuracy under extreme stress represented the culmination of years of training and the validation of Miguel's teaching methods. More importantly, it had prevented the criminal organization from achieving their objective of capturing Miguel for forced cooperation. Miguel's radio call indicated that the immediate threat was over and that Elena should remain in position until federal authorities could secure the area completely. She acknowledged his instructions while maintaining her scope surveillance of the battlefield, noting the locations of wounded attackers who might require medical attention. The aftermath of the firefight revealed the extent of the criminals' preparation and the effectiveness of Elena and Miguel's defense. Law enforcement personnel found sophisticated surveillance equipment, detailed plans of their property, and intelligence files that confirmed the systematic nature of the threat they had faced. Elena's defensive action had disrupted a carefully planned operation. Elena remained in her concealed position for another 30 minutes, while federal agents processed the scene and ensured that no additional threats remained. During this time, she reflected on the morning's events with a sense of accomplishment mixed with soberness about what she had been required to do. The training exercises had become deadly reality, and she had proven equal to the challenge. When Elena finally emerged from her position to meet with federal investigators, her calm demeanor and professional competence surprised the experienced agents. They had expected to find either a traumatized teenager or a cold-blooded killer, but instead encountered a young woman who had performed her defensive role with remarkable skill while maintaining her emotional equilibrium. Miguel's reunion with Elena was brief but intense, confirming that both had survived their first real combat experience without physical injury. Their partnership had been tested under the most extreme circumstances and had proven completely effective. The bond between them had been strengthened by sharing danger and emerging victorious through mutual support. Federal investigators required extensive debriefing about the attack and Elena's role in repelling it. Her accuracy and tactical decision-making during the engagement impressed hardened law enforcement professionals who rarely encountered civilian defenders with such capabilities. Elena answered their questions with precision, while avoiding unnecessary details about her training background. The criminal organization's failure to capture Miguel represented a significant setback to their operations and provided law enforcement with valuable intelligence about their methods and capabilities. Elena's defensive action had contributed directly to a broader investigation that would eventually dismantle much of their network. The teenage marksman had struck a blow against international criminals that resonated far beyond her Montana ranch. Elena's school was notified that she would be absent for several additional days while the investigation continued and security arrangements were finalized. Her teachers and classmates remained unaware of the dramatic events that had occurred, seeing only an extended absence that fit the pattern of family obligations that had characterized Elena's senior year. Miguel's contacts in the veteran community spread word about the successful defense, though specific details remained classified. Elena's reputation within this tight-knit network was established as someone who could be trusted in combat situations, a recognition that carried significant weight among people who had faced similar challenges in military service. The physical evidence of the firefight was processed by federal crime scene specialists who documented Elena's shooting positions and confirmed her remarkable accuracy. Ballistics analysis revealed that each of her shots had been precisely placed to neutralize threats effectively, while minimizing the risk of unintended casualties. This level of precision under stress was noted in official reports. Elena's psychological evaluation following the incident revealed no signs of trauma or negative emotional response to her use of lethal force in defense of her family. Her clear understanding of the moral and legal justifications for her actions, combined with Miguel's careful preparation of her mindset, had enabled her to process the experience without lasting negative effects. The Federal Protection Program offered Elena and Miguel relocation assistance and new identities if they felt unsafe remaining at their ranch. Both declined this offer, preferring to maintain their established life while implementing enhanced security measures. Elena's demonstration of her defensive capabilities had arguably made their ranch one of the safest places in the state. Elena returned to her normal school routine the following week with a secret that would remain forever between her and Miguel. To her classmates and teachers, she was simply the quiet ranch girl who had missed some school due to family obligations. Only Elena knew that she had single-handedly repelled a professional assault team while her peers worried about homework and social activities. The criminal organization's surviving members were arrested and charged with numerous federal crimes that would result in lengthy prison sentences. Intelligence gathered from their equipment and communications led to additional arrests across multiple states and contributed to international investigations. Elena's defensive action had consequences that extended far beyond protecting her family. Miguel's pride in Elena's performance was evident in their private conversations following the incident. She had validated every hour of training and every dollar spent on equipment preparation. More importantly, she had demonstrated the character and judgment necessary to use her exceptional skills responsibly when circumstances demanded action. 3 months after the attack on their ranch, Elena received an unexpected visitor that would change the trajectory of her life once again. Special Agent Sarah Chen from the FBI's hostage rescue team arrived on a cold February morning with a proposition that both intrigued and challenged Elena's understanding of her future possibilities. Agent Chen had been part of the federal response team that secured Elena's ranch following the criminal assault. She had reviewed Elena's performance during the incident with professional interest, recognizing capabilities that extended far beyond civilian self-defense. Chen's background included 15 years in military special operations before joining the FBI, giving her the expertise necessary to evaluate Elena's unique skill set accurately. Miguel was present during Chen's presentation, which outlined opportunities for Elena to contribute to federal law enforcement operations while completing her education. The FBI had been developing a specialized program to address threats from criminal organizations that specifically targeted former military personnel. Elena's proven abilities made her an ideal candidate for advanced training that could lead to a career in federal service. The program Chen described was unlike traditional law enforcement training. Selected candidates would receive instruction equivalent to military special operations while maintaining their civilian status and educational commitments. Elena would complete her high school education through accelerated programs while participating in intensive training designed to prepare her for complex operational assignments. Elena listened to Chen's presentation with growing excitement about possibilities she had never considered. Her training with Miguel had been focused on personal defense and family protection, but the federal program offered opportunities to apply her skills in service of broader justice objectives. The prospect of using her marksmanship abilities to protect innocent people from criminal exploitation appealed to her sense of moral purpose. Miguel's initial reaction was protective, concerned about exposing Elena to dangers that exceeded even what they had recently experienced. However, Chen's detailed explanation of the program's safeguards and Elena's obvious enthusiasm gradually overcame his reservations. He recognized that Elena's exceptional talents deserved opportunities beyond what their isolated ranch could provide. The selection process for the federal program was rigorous, designed to identify candidates with both the necessary skills and the psychological resilience required for high-stress operations. Elena's performance during the ranch assault had already demonstrated her capabilities under extreme pressure, but formal evaluation would require additional testing of her abilities across multiple disciplines. Elena's academic record was reviewed as part of the selection process, revealing consistently excellent performance that complemented her demonstrated practical skills. Her teachers described her as exceptionally focused and mature, qualities that federal evaluators recognized as essential for operational effectiveness. Elena's ability to balance academic excellence with intensive marksmanship training indicated the time management skills necessary for advanced programs. The first phase of evaluation involved psychological testing designed to assess Elena's stability, judgment, and motivation for seeking federal service. Trained psychologists interviewed her extensively about her goals, her response to the ranch attack, and her understanding of the responsibilities that would accompany her exceptional capabilities. Elena's responses demonstrated remarkable maturity and clear thinking about complex ethical issues. Physical fitness testing revealed that Elena's conditioning extended well beyond marksmanship skills. Miguel's comprehensive training program had included strength, endurance, and agility development that left Elena better prepared than many adult candidates. Her performance on obstacle courses and endurance challenges impressed evaluators who rarely encountered civilian candidates with such complete preparation. Elena's marksmanship evaluation was conducted by federal instructors who specialized in training elite units. They tested her abilities with various weapon systems under multiple stress conditions, finding that her accuracy and tactical decision-making exceeded the standards required for many federal tactical teams. Her performance confirmed Agent Chen's assessment that Elena possessed truly exceptional capabilities. Miguel participated in portions of Elena's evaluation process, providing detailed information about her training background and demonstrating the techniques he had taught her over 6 years. Federal evaluators were impressed by the sophistication of Miguel's instruction and the depth of Elena's understanding of advanced tactical concepts. The partnership between father and daughter had created capabilities that exceeded typical civilian or even military standards. Elena's acceptance into the federal program was confirmed in April, with training scheduled to begin immediately after her high school graduation. The program would allow her to complete college coursework while participating in operational assignments that utilized her unique skill set. This combination of education and practical application offered exactly the type of challenging future Elena desired. High school graduation approached rapidly as Elena balanced final academic requirements with preparation for her federal service commitment. Her classmates remained unaware of her future plans, understanding only that she intended to pursue law enforcement training after graduation. Elena maintained the low profile that had always characterized her social interactions, while privately preparing for dramatic life changes. Miguel's feelings about Elena's impending departure were complex, combining pride in her achievements with natural parental concern about the dangers she would face. Her selection for the federal program validated his training methods, while confirming that Elena had outgrown the limitations of their ranch environment. He supported her decision while privately grieving the end of their intensive partnership. Elena's final training sessions with Miguel focused on advanced techniques that would complement her federal instruction. They reviewed everything from urban combat scenarios to precision shooting in challenging weather conditions, ensuring that Elena's foundation skills were absolutely solid before she entered formal training. These sessions strengthened their bond while preparing for their eventual separation. The federal program's structure allowed Elena to maintain contact with Miguel while pursuing her new career path. Regular communication and periodic visits home would preserve their relationship while enabling Elena to grow beyond the confines of their isolated ranch life. This balance between family connection and professional development appealed to both Elena and Miguel. Elena's federal training began at a classified facility in Virginia, where she joined 11 other candidates selected from across the country. The group included former military personnel, law enforcement officers, and exceptional civilians who possessed specialized skills relevant to federal operations. Elena was the youngest member of the group by several years, but quickly proved that her abilities warranted her inclusion. The intensity of federal training exceeded even Elena's expectations. With 18-hour days that combined academic instruction, physical conditioning, tactical exercises, and specialized skills development, Elena's prior training with Miguel provided a solid foundation that allowed her to excel in most areas while identifying specific skills that required additional development. Marksmanship instruction at the federal level introduced Elena to weapons systems and scenarios that went beyond Miguel's civilian capabilities. She learned to engage targets from helicopters, through various types of barriers, and in urban environments that presented complex tactical challenges. Her natural abilities and solid foundation enabled rapid mastery of these advanced techniques. Elena's academic instruction covered legal frameworks governing federal operations, intelligence analysis, communication security, and international law. These subjects complemented her practical training while providing the theoretical background necessary for making complex decisions under pressure. Elena's analytical abilities proved as exceptional as her marksmanship skills. Psychological training helped Elena understand the mental challenges associated with federal service and provided techniques for maintaining emotional stability during extended operations. Instructors emphasized the importance of maintaining perspective and ethical grounding when dealing with dangerous criminals who showed no regard for human life. Elena's character and moral foundation impressed her instructors. Elena's first operational assignment came 6 months after beginning federal training, involving surveillance support for an investigation into human trafficking networks. Her role was limited to observation and reporting, but the assignment provided valuable experience in applying her skills under real-world conditions. Elena's performance was noted favorably by supervisors who recognized her potential for more complex assignments. Miguel received regular updates about Elena's progress through Agent Chen, who maintained oversight of Elena's development within the federal program. These reports confirmed that Elena was exceeding expectations while maintaining the character traits that made her suitable for federal service. Miguel's pride in Elena's achievements was balanced by satisfaction that his training had prepared her well. Elena's second operational assignment involved providing overwatch security for federal agents conducting raids against drug distribution networks. Her marksmanship skills were utilized to provide precision fire support if resistance developed during the raids. The assignment went smoothly, but Elena's presence provided critical insurance against potential threats to federal personnel. The partnership between Elena and federal tactical teams developed quickly as her reliability and professionalism became evident. Experienced agents recognized that Elena's capabilities exceeded those of many veteran team members, while her judgment remained sound under pressure. Elena earned respect through consistent performance rather than dramatic gestures. Elena's college education proceeded through an accelerated program that accommodated her operational commitments while ensuring comprehensive academic development. Her studies focused on criminal justice, international relations, and psychology, subjects that directly supported her federal service while providing broader educational foundation. Elena maintained excellent academic performance despite her demanding schedule. Federal supervisors began considering Elena for increasingly complex assignments as her experience and capabilities expanded. Her unique combination of exceptional marksmanship skills, sound judgment, and comprehensive training made her valuable for operations that required specialized capabilities. Elena welcomed these challenges while remaining committed to the moral principles that guided her service. Elena's relationship with Miguel remained strong despite their physical separation and her demanding training schedule. Their regular communications included discussions of Elena's assignments and continued exchange of tactical knowledge that benefited both. Miguel's experience provided valuable perspective on Elena's federal service, while her training introduced new concepts that interested Miguel. Elena's reputation within federal law enforcement circles grew as her operational successes accumulated. She became known as someone who could be trusted with the most demanding assignments, while maintaining the professional standards expected of federal agents. Elena's youth was no longer seen as a limitation but rather as an asset that enabled unique operational capabilities. The criminal organization that had threatened Miguel's family was completely dismantled within a year of Elena's ranch defense, largely due to intelligence gathered from their failed assault. Elena's defensive action had contributed to a broader victory against international criminals while establishing her credentials for federal service. The connection between her personal experience and professional mission provided powerful motivation for her continued service. Elena's transformation from isolated ranch teenager to federal agent specializing in counter-criminal operations was remarkable but logical, given her exceptional training and natural abilities. Miguel's comprehensive instruction had prepared her not just for personal defense but for a career serving justice on a national scale. Elena's federal service represented the fulfillment of potential that might otherwise have remained hidden in rural Montana. The federal program's success with Elena led to expansion efforts designed to identify and develop similar exceptional capabilities among civilian candidates. Elena's example demonstrated that proper training and moral development could create federal assets with capabilities that exceeded traditional recruitment sources. Her success opened doors for others with similar potential. 2 years into her federal service, Elena found herself crouched in the pre-dawn darkness of the Mexican border, preparing for the most complex operation of her young career. Intelligence had identified a heavily fortified compound where international criminals were holding 12 kidnapped children from across 3 countries. Elena's mission was to provide precision overwatch for a joint rescue operation involving federal agents, military special operations personnel, and Mexican authorities. The compound was situated in rugged terrain that channeled approach routes through valleys covered by elevated defensive positions. Criminal sentries were posted at strategic locations, with overlapping fields of fire that would devastate any conventional assault. Elena's role was to neutralize these positions silently, creating gaps in the defensive coverage that would allow rescue teams to reach the hostages without triggering a massacre. Elena's equipment for this mission represented the pinnacle of precision shooting technology. Her rifle was a custom-built system that incorporated lessons learned from 2 years of federal operations, optimized for the extreme accuracy required when hostage lives depended on surgical precision. The scope featured thermal imaging and range-finding capabilities that enabled engagement of targets under any conditions. The intelligence briefing had revealed that the compound's defenders included former military personnel from several countries who had sold their skills to criminal organizations. These men possessed training and equipment that made them formidable opponents. But Elena's comprehensive preparation and exceptional abilities gave her significant advantages in the upcoming confrontation. Elena's position was carefully chosen to provide maximum coverage of the compound while remaining undetectable to enemy surveillance. She had infiltrated to within 800 yards of the target during the previous night, moving through terrain that would have challenged experienced soldiers. Miguel's training in fieldcraft and camouflage had prepared her well for this phase of the operation. The rescue team's success depended entirely on Elena's ability to eliminate specific targets in precise sequence without alerting other defenders. Any mistake in timing or accuracy could result in the execution of hostages before rescue personnel could reach them. This level of responsibility would have overwhelmed most federal agents, but Elena approached it with calm confidence, born from years of preparation. Elena's first target was a sniper positioned on the compound's highest tower, whose elevated position commanded the primary approach route for rescue teams. The shot would be taken at 734 yards with a crosswind that required careful compensation. Elena's bullet struck perfectly, eliminating the threat before the defender could raise an alarm or return fire. The second target was eliminated 12 seconds later, as Elena transitioned smoothly to engage a machine gun position that covered the compound's eastern approach. Her precision remained perfect under time pressure as rescue teams began their advance toward the hostages. Elena's systematic elimination of defensive positions created exactly the tactical advantage that mission planners had anticipated. Elena's third shot targeted a roving patrol that was approaching an area where rescue personnel needed to establish blocking positions. The patrolling guard was eliminated at maximum range while walking, a shot that required precise calculation of movement and timing. Elena's bullet connected flawlessly, maintaining the element of surprise that was crucial for mission success. Federal agents and special operations personnel began their final approach to the compound, as Elena continued to provide overwatch coverage. Her position allowed observation of the entire tactical area while remaining hidden from enemy detection. Elena's radio communications with team leaders were minimal but precise, providing critical information about remaining threats. Elena's fourth engagement involved simultaneous shots against two sentries who were positioned too close together for sequential elimination. This complex scenario required splitting her attention between multiple targets while maintaining accuracy standards that allowed no margin for error. Elena's training had included such scenarios, and she executed the dual engagement perfectly. The rescue teams breached the compound's perimeter as Elena shifted to close protection overwatch, ready to engage any threats that emerged during the hostage extraction phase. Her role became more reactive as federal agents located and secured the kidnapped children while neutralizing remaining defenders through close-quarters combat. Elena's scope revealed movement in a previously undetected position as someone attempted to flank the rescue teams during their extraction of hostages. Her immediate engagement of this threat prevented what could have been catastrophic interference with the rescue operation. Elena's situational awareness and rapid response demonstrated the complete integration of her technical and tactical skills. The hostages were successfully extracted without casualties among either the children or rescue personnel. Elena's precision elimination of key defensive positions had created the tactical conditions necessary for this success, while her overwatch coverage prevented enemy interference during the critical extraction phase. The operation validated both Elena's individual capabilities and her integration with federal tactical teams. Post-operation analysis confirmed that Elena's marksmanship performance had been flawless under extreme pressure. 7 targets had been engaged at ranges from 400 to 800 yards with perfect accuracy, while coordinating with multiple rescue teams operating in complex terrain. Federal supervisors recognized this performance as exceptional even by the standards of elite military units. Elena's successful completion of the hostage rescue operation established her reputation as one of the federal government's most capable precision shooters. Her combination of technical skill, tactical judgment, and operational reliability made her a preferred asset for missions requiring the highest levels of precision and trust. Elena had proven herself worthy of the most challenging assignments. The rescued children were returned to their families while the criminal organization responsible for their kidnapping was dismantled through intelligence gathered during the operation. Elena's contribution to this success reinforced her commitment to federal service, while demonstrating the positive impact her skills could have on innocent lives. Her personal satisfaction with the mission outcome motivated continued excellence in future operations. Elena's career progression accelerated following the successful hostage rescue, with federal supervisors recognizing her readiness for increased responsibility and more complex assignments. Her demonstrated reliability under extreme pressure made her valuable for operations where failure could have international consequences. Elena welcomed these challenges while maintaining the moral foundation that guided all her decisions. Miguel received detailed briefings about Elena's operational success through Agent Chen, who continued to monitor Elena's development within the federal system. Miguel's pride in Elena's achievements was profound, recognizing that his daughter had far exceeded even his most optimistic expectations for her potential. Elena's success validated every aspect of the training program he had developed over 6 years. Elena's relationship with her federal colleagues evolved from junior member to respected professional as her operational experience expanded. Veteran agents who had initially been skeptical of Elena's youth and civilian background now sought her participation in their most demanding missions. Elena's competence had earned respect that transcended traditional hierarchies. Elena completed her college education while maintaining her operational commitments, graduating with highest honors in criminal justice and international relations. Her academic achievement complemented her practical skills while providing the intellectual foundation necessary for advancement within federal service. Elena's comprehensive development positioned her for leadership roles as her career progressed. Federal law enforcement agencies began requesting Elena's participation in training programs designed to develop similar capabilities among other personnel. Her unique background and proven abilities made her valuable as an instructor who could bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical application. Elena embraced this teaching role while continuing her operational assignments. Elena's success led to recognition at the highest levels of federal law enforcement, with supervisors noting her exceptional contribution to critical operations. Recommendations for accelerated promotion and specialized assignments reflected official acknowledgement of Elena's unique value to federal agencies. Elena's career trajectory was limited only by her own ambitions and continuing commitment to service. The criminal threats that had originally brought Elena into federal service continued to evolve, requiring new capabilities and innovative approaches to maintain effective countermeasures. Elena's adaptability and continuous learning made her particularly valuable for addressing emerging threats that challenged traditional law enforcement methods. Her willingness to pioneer new techniques maintained her relevance as criminal methods evolved. Elena's personal life remained centered on her relationship with Miguel and her commitment to federal service. Though she had developed friendships among her federal colleagues who shared similar backgrounds and values, these relationships provided the social support necessary for maintaining psychological health during demanding operational periods. Elena's personal stability reinforced her professional effectiveness. Miguel's health remained excellent as he approached his 60th birthday, and he continued to provide tactical advice and emotional support for Elena's federal career. Their relationship had evolved from teacher-student to professional colleagues who respected each other's expertise. Miguel's continued involvement in Elena's development enriched both their lives while maintaining their special bond. Elena's federal service had expanded from individual operations to team leadership roles that utilized her tactical knowledge and proven judgment under pressure. Her ability to coordinate complex operations while maintaining situational awareness made her valuable for missions requiring precise orchestration of multiple elements. Elena's leadership potential was recognized by supervisors who planned her continued advancement. The ranch in Montana remained Elena's permanent home base, though her federal assignments required extensive travel throughout the United States and internationally. Miguel maintained their property and training facilities while Elena was deployed, ensuring that their refuge remained ready for her periodic returns. The ranch represented continuity and grounding in Elena's increasingly complex life. Elena's story had become an inspiration for other young people who possessed exceptional abilities but lacked opportunities to develop them fully. Federal recruiters used Elena's example to demonstrate how proper training and moral development could transform individual potential into national service capability. Elena's success opened doors for others who might otherwise remain undiscovered. The partnership between Elena and Miguel, that had begun with weekend shooting sessions, had evolved into a legacy that influenced federal law enforcement training and recruitment practices. Their demonstration of what dedicated instruction could accomplish challenged traditional assumptions about capability development and motivated expanded programs to identify and cultivate exceptional talent. Elena's continued federal service represented the fulfillment of potential that might never have been recognized without Miguel's comprehensive training and the circumstances that brought her to federal attention. Her success validated the investment of time, effort, and resources that had transformed a rancher's daughter into one of America's most capable federal agents. Elena's journey from isolated ranch to federal service demonstrated the remarkable results that could be achieved when exceptional talent met comprehensive preparation and moral purpose. The quiet ranch in Montana, where Elena had learned to shoot with precision beyond most military standards, had become the birthplace of a federal agent whose capabilities exceeded the expectations of even the most optimistic planners. Elena's transformation validated Miguel's belief that proper training could prepare anyone for extraordinary challenges, while demonstrating that exceptional individuals could emerge from the most unexpected circumstances.